Welcome back to the Redneck Tech YouTube channel, and today I'm going to talk about one of my, if not my favorite piece of gear, my workhorse of a tripod. I have had this tripod, I'm trying to think, I think at least 9 years, I think it's closer to 10. So I'll tell you what it is and then I'll tell you why I love it. This is more traveled and better traveled than most human beings. This thing has been beat to death and drugged behind trucks and used as a paddle. And I mean, I can't tell you all the places and things this thing has done, to be honest. I wish it could tell stories, but it's a set of Miller carbon sticks. I don't even think I know the model number anymore. It's rubbed off or been torn off. And it's a Satchler, I'm not sure how you say it, DV6SB is the model number of the head. They don't make this head anymore. It's even honestly overkill now for the FX6, but I still run it. And as you can tell by looking at it, it has got dust and dirt and grime, and I get asked all the time, like, why don't you clean it? It's like, man, this thing is, it's like a badge of honor walking around with this tripod. I can't stand when I get to a shoot and I see somebody and they look like they just got the wrapper off of their gear. That's just not how we roll. Maybe that's wrong, but this thing it needs some servicing. And honestly, we've tried to get it serviced, but nobody services them anymore because it's so old. But I bought this head, just the head, for $1,600 used almost 10 years ago. And believe it or not, I bought the sticks with a Miller head that was broken. It looked brand new off of eBay. Both of these are off eBay. I bought the sticks with a different head for like $1,100. So I've got like $2,700 in this whole kit, but that Miller head was broken. I sent it back to Miller. They fixed the head. I sold the head for $700. So I really only have like $2 grand in this whole setup. But I would not take $2 grand for it right now. The reason I like this head and these sticks is a couple different reasons. Is these legs don't open up as wide as some of the other ones, and it stands up a lot taller, and I need to see it. I need to do a little maintenance, but these legs normally stay open. Let's try this one. So when you open it, it stays open. It doesn't fall back on itself because everything's adjusted correctly. It's got the little legs so it'll flip all the way out too. But this thing, it's heavy, but it's built like a tank. And what is the internal gears and driving system of this head is better than anything I've ever used. Because I remember when I first got into filming, I used a crappy Manfrotto, like 502 or whatever they were called, and thought that thing was the bee's knees. And then when I was working at Sub 7, we got a Satchler head. It was an FSB8, which is virtually the newer version of this. And I remember running that thing on a turkey hunt and how smooth and how clean and how it had the locks, how it had the quick attach head, which is my favorite feature of this, which is you just literally, it's got a square plate that literally clicks in right there, and it clicks in and locks your camera in. And those couple of features just were worth the extra money. And now, $2,000, 10 years later, this thing's paid for itself 1,000 times. And I don't think I'll ever own anything else because zero maintenance. I don't think I've ever cleaned it other than like maybe wiping it off. It's been rained on, fallen out of trucks, been hummed, been thrown, been beat, drugged through every limb and tree in the United States. And it keeps trucking, man. I've never had an issue. I take that back. I have had an issue. We actually broke this knob on it a couple years ago. I didn't break it, Ryer broke it. He gets mad when I say that because I'd been using this tripod for up to that point, probably 8 or 9 years. And he took it out one time and broke it. Well, he said that I had just gotten it to that point, but he broke it. And that one little knob, I can't remember, it was like a couple $100 to replace. But I was happy to pay it, happy to get my tripod back to functioning. If I was going to replace this tripod, or if you were going to go out and buy one yourself, a couple features you need to look for is, number one, it needs to have a big handle. and it needs to be very, very adjustable. This one adjusts all over the place. I've carried it by this a lot of times when we're going through low hanging stuff. I'll actually carry it by this by one hand underneath with the camera attached. It is mean and it carries the weight, and I've never had to worry about it breaking. Another thing is the quick release that I talked about earlier. That feature right there where you just pop the camera on, pop the camera off. You don't have to worry about hitting grooves, locking down a set screw. Makes your life so much easier. Another thing is the locks. The locks here that lock the head from rotating up and down or tilting up and down, and then this lock that keep it from rotating. You got to make sure if you do get one with locks, it's a very nice feature, but you got to make sure you unlock them before you're trying to use your tripod, because you will tear the brakes up. Luckily, these have never gotten torn up over 10 years. So this tripod, it's a fluid head. It's got several different settings. These are resistance settings to where essentially how much resistance and how essentially smooth you are depending on the weight of your camera that's on top. This is a setting that adjust the recoil. So if you were to push it all the way down to the bottom and let go, how quickly it recoils or how slowly the tripod recoils back. And then it's also got a balance setting on the side, which the knob is broken off. But if you have a camera with a huge heavy lens, you would adjust this to where the camera would sit more balanced on the tripod head itself. And as you can see, the sticks and the head are a bowl. It's a 75mm bowl into this 75mm bowl set of sticks. And the reason that's important is when you're sitting in a blind, you have this open, you don't have that big column underneath. You can actually get underneath your camera and use it like you're supposed to. Like I've used a couple of those tripods that have a center column, miserable. That is, and it's very much easier and quicker to balance and level your head with that setting. You just unlock your head, get it level whenever you're sitting, and lock your head back down. It just makes life so much easier. And with this one, I've carried 45-pound cameras, clicked them in there, thrown them over my shoulder, and took off and hunted all day, and never worried about the camera coming off, never worried about any of the screws coming loose, never worried about any of that kind of stuff. And if you want a tripod with these same features, it's gonna be expensive. But just like this one, buy once, cry once. It's absolutely worth it if this tripod isn't a testament to that, because it will last you hopefully an entire career.